Welcome back to Switch Top, everyone. The Nintendo Switch library is stacked, and some of these games are genuinely all-timers. So today, we're going through the top 20 games worth playing on it in 2026. Let's go! Link's Awakening is a remake of the 1993 Game Boy Classic, rebuilt entirely for Switch, with this gorgeous toy box art style that makes the whole world look like a miniature diorama. You're playing as Link, shipwrecked on a mysterious island called Koholint after a storm. The goal is to find 8 instruments spread across the island, wake a creature called the Windfish, and escape. Sounds simple, but the island keeps getting stranger the deeper you go, and the story builds to something surprisingly emotional. Gameplay is classic top-down Zelda dungeons, puzzles, collectibles, and a boss at the end of each area. Each dungeon has its own theme and introduces a new item that changes how you interact with the world. The pacing is tight, nothing overstays its welcome, and the whole thing moves at a great rhythm. There's a dungeon builder unlocked after finishing the story if you want to keep tinkering. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate earns that name completely. Over 80 fighters, every stage, every mode, every piece of music. It's the full history of Smash collected in one game. The gameplay is a platform fighter, where you're dealing damage to opponents, watching their percentage climb, and landing hits that launch them off the stage. Simple to pick up, genuinely deep to master. Every character moves differently, recovers differently, and rewards different levels of understanding. World of Light is the solo mode, a massive map where you unlock fighters by clearing spirit battles, and it alone can run 40+ hours. Competitive play has a whole universe of its own if you want to go there. Local multiplayer with up to 8 players is as chaotic and fun as it sounds. Online has improved over time, with better connection options. The Fighter Pass brought in some wild additions, characters no one expected to ever share a screen together. Nintendo went all in on weird with Wonder, and it pays off completely. It's a 2D platformer at its foundation. Run, jump, stomp. But Wonder Flowers, hidden throughout each level, trigger completely unpredictable transformations. One level might become a top-down shooter. Another might turn Mario into a Goomba. Pipes might sprout legs and run around. The game commits fully to every idea, and no 2 levels feel the same. The Elephant power-up is the standout edition. It lets you swing a massive trunk, absorb water, and smash through walls in ways that open up secrets and alternate paths. Badge mechanics add passive abilities you equip before a level. Things like floating jumps, wall climbing, or parachute caps that change how you move through familiar spaces. Level design is consistently sharp, the difficulty is approachable without being boring, and the world map hides optional challenges and secret exits. Tropical Freeze didn't get the audience it deserved on Wii U, so the Switch port was a second shot, and it absolutely landed. This is a hard platformer. Not unfair hard, but the kind of hard that makes clearing a difficult level feel genuinely earned. You're playing as Donkey Kong, whose island has been taken over by Viking-themed enemies called the Snowmads. You travel across 6 worlds to reclaim it. The gameplay is tight, and mechanical run, jump, roll, grab. But the level design never stops throwing new ideas at you. Underwater stages, mine carts, rocket barrels, levels that change mid-run with the environment shifting around you. The Snowmads bring real snow and ice hazards that change how you read platforms and time jumps. Funky Kong was added for Switch. As an easier option, he has extra health, unique moves, and can double jump, which opens the game to players who want the experience without the full difficulty. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still the best multiplayer game on the system, and probably the best value purchase on Switch. You're racing, using items to slow opponents and protect yourself, and learning track layouts across 96 courses, 48 base tracks, and 48 more from the Booster Course Pass, pulling from across Mario Kart history. The roster covers a huge range of Nintendo characters, and the kart building system lets you tune your stats with different body, tire, and glider combinations. Anti-gravity sections on tracks shift racing lines in ways that take time to really read. Battle modes, Balloon Battle, Shine Thief, Coin Runners are all back and actually well designed now. Online play holds up well. Local split screen supports 4 players at once, and 8 players can race together wirelessly. Items feel balanced enough that skilled play wins more often than luck, but newcomers can keep up and have fun. Unicorn Overlord slipped past a lot of people. And that's a genuine shame because it's one of the most thoughtful strategy games in years. You play as Elaine, a prince reclaiming his kingdom from a corrupt general named Galerius, who overthrew his mother and now controls the continent through force. The world is large, and you liberate it region by region, building up your force and pushing toward the capital. Combat is the standout system. You build squads of up to 5 units and set tactical rules for each one before battles auto-resolve. You're telling your healer when to use items, telling your knight which enemy type to prioritize, setting your archer to focus units with specific equipment. Getting a squad that counters a hard enemy formation feels like cracking a code. There are over 60 recruitable characters across dozens of unit classes. Griffin Riders, Witches, Beastmen, Corsairs, and experimenting with combinations is a constant pull.
Does this suit you?
Ready yourself!
Celeste. You play as Madeline, climbing Celeste Mountain against everyone's advice, including her own instincts. The mountain is alive in ways that get increasingly surreal as you progress, and the story running alongside the platforming is genuinely honest about anxiety, self-doubt, and the internal voices that tell you to give up. Each screen is a self-contained challenge. You'll die constantly, hundreds of times across the full game, but deaths are instant, restarts are instant, and there's no penalty. The rhythm is try, fail, try again, and eventually execute something you couldn't manage 20 attempts ago. That feeling doesn't get old. Assist mode lets you slow the game, add extra dashes, or turn on invincibility. Without judgment, the game explicitly tells you it's there and that using it is fine. The B-side chapters, unlocked after finishing each area, are brutal remixes for players who want extreme difficulty. C-sides push even further. Xenoblade 3 is the largest and most emotionally ambitious entry in the series, and it stands alone even without knowledge of the previous games. 6 soldiers, 3 from each of 2 warring nations, find themselves thrown together and forced to question the war they've been fighting their entire short lives. The world, called Ionios, runs on a brutal cycle where soldiers fight to generate life force for their colonies, and everyone ages and dies within 10 years. The world building is dense but earns your investment. Combat is real-time with active pause. You position characters, trigger arts on cooldown, and manage aggro while watching the tactical situation develop. Characters can swap between classes, inherit skills from one another, and merge into powerful Ouroboros forms. The map is enormous. Grasslands, flooded ruins, mechanical wastelands, tidal flats. And exploring it rewards time. Pikmin 4 is the most complete and accessible entry in the series, and the easiest recommendation for anyone who's never played Pikmin before. You crash land on a planet and have to rescue survivors while managing a growing army of small plant creatures called Pikmin. Red Pikmin are fighters. Blue can survive water. Yellow can be thrown high and carry bomb rocks. Ice Pikmin can freeze enemies and surfaces. Each type has strengths that make them essential for different situations. The day-night cycle creates real tension. You have daylight hours to explore, collect items, and complete objectives. When night falls, enemies become aggressive, and you need your Pikmin safely back at camp. Managing your time effectively across a day is the whole skill of the game. Ochi, your dog companion, is new and completely changes the dynamic. He carries Pikmin, charges through enemies, swims freely, and levels up his own skills through the campaign. Pokémon Legends Arceus is set in ancient Hisui, a past version of the Sinnoh region. You're a Survey Corps member tasked with building the first Pokédex by studying Pokémon in the wild. Catching is an active mechanic now. You crouch in tall grass, Observe Pokémon behavior, time your throw, and either catch them cleanly or alert them and trigger a chase or fight. Aggressive Pokémon will charge and knock you out if you're not careful. Battles exist, but they're not always necessary. Many encounters can be resolved with careful approaching and throwing. When battles do happen, the new Strong Style and Agile Style system lets you trade power for speed or vice versa, creating interesting decisions around turn order. Alpha Pokémon, oversized, red-eyed, aggressive versions of normal species, roam each area, and catching them is a serious challenge. Noble Pokémon serve as boss encounters, involving a mix of dodging projectiles and throwing bombs in real time. Breath of the Wild. You wake up as Link on a plateau, with no memory. The world opens up in every direction and almost nothing stops you from going wherever you want. The physics engine runs through everything. Fire spreads, wind carries objects, electricity conducts through metal, heat rises. The 4 rune abilities, Magnesis, Stasis, Cryonis, Bombs, interact with the environment in ways that make every problem approachable from multiple angles. Shrines are self-contained puzzle rooms that reward stamina and heart containers. And the 120 scattered across the map give you constant reason to explore off the critical path. Cooking food and elixirs to manage environmental hazards is a satisfying loop. Combat is fluid, but weapons break, which forces adaptation and prevents any single tool from becoming a crutch. The 4 divine beasts are large mechanical dungeons with puzzle-based mechanics and memorable bosses. Luigi's Mansion 3 takes a completely ridiculous premise. Luigi and friends invited to a haunted hotel, and delivers one of the most consistently fun games on Switch. Each floor of the hotel is a different themed environment. A pirate ship, a film studio, a medieval arena, an Egyptian tomb. The variety keeps the pacing fresh all the way through. You capture ghosts using the poltergust by stunning them, grabbing on, and slamming them repeatedly until they're worn out and sucked up. The suction shot lets you grab and yank the environment to reveal hidden gems, secrets, and puzzle solutions. Each floor has a themed boss ghost with a fight that uses the environment creatively and usually involves figuring out a trick before you can deal damage. Gooigi, Luigi's gooey clone, can be summoned to navigate areas dangerous to Luigi. Spike floors, deep water, and swapping between them is used for puzzles throughout the game. Hades 2. You're Melinoe, daughter of Hades, sister to Zagreus, trained by Hecate, fighting upward through the underworld to confront Kronos, the Titan of Time, who has imprisoned her father. The roguelite structure carries over from the first game. You run through procedurally arranged chambers, pick up boons from Olympian gods that modify your attacks, build synergies between them, die, and return to your base to upgrade and go again. What's new is the addition of a surface ascent path, running parallel to the familiar descent structure, which doubles the content and introduces new biomes, enemies, and encounters. Melinoe's 4 weapons each play very differently, and the boon system has expanded with new gods and new interaction types. Arcana cards add a meta progression layer between runs that meaningfully changes your starting build. The incantation system lets you craft permanent upgrades using gathered resources. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom uses the same world as Breath of the Wild, but completely transforms it with sky islands above Hyrule and the massive depths underground. Link and Zelda discover ancient ruins beneath Hyrule Castle when a mysterious force awakens, strips Link of his power, and causes Zelda to disappear. The game's 4 new abilities completely change exploration and combat. Ultra Hand lets you build vehicles, bridges, and machines by attaching objects together. Fuse combines weapons and materials to create stronger gear with unique effects. Ascend allows Link to move through ceilings, while Recall reverses an object's movement. These mechanics work together constantly, making puzzles and exploration feel incredibly creative. The depths are enormous and filled with enemies, secrets, and resources, while the Sky Islands focus more on puzzles and traversal challenges. The Thousand Year Door was a GameCube game from 2004 that never got wide enough reach, and the Switch remake is a definitive version of one of the best RPGs Nintendo ever made. Mario follows a map sent by Peach to Rogueport, a rough port town hiding the entrance to an ancient ruin sealed by a thousand-year-old door. The story that follows involves a cast of partners, a shadow organization, a championship wrestling league, and a sealed demon. The writing is genuinely funny, clever dialogue, characters with real personality, and situations that feel distinct from anything else in Mario's history. Turn-based combat uses a badge system where you spend points to equip moves that expand Mario's options. Every attack is interactive. Button timing boosts damage, and guards reduce incoming hits. Partners have their own abilities in combat and on the map. The world is structured as distinct chapters, each with its own setting and tone, which keeps the runtime from dragging. Metroid Dread closes a story arc that began with the original Metroid in 1986, and does it with some of the tightest 2D game design in years. Samus lands on ZDR investigating a parasite signal, immediately gets stripped of her abilities by a powerful enemy called Ravenbeak, and has to fight her way back to full power across an interconnected alien planet. The map is the game you're always finding new paths, backtracking to reach newly accessible areas, and piecing together how the environment connects. Movement is exceptional throughout. Sliding, wall jumping, climbing, and dashing all flow together without friction. Emmy robots are the tension engine of the experience, massive white machines patrolling specific zones that kill you in one grab. Running, hiding, and eventually finding a way to destroy them is a cycle that never stops being stressful. Boss fights are the toughest in the series. They hit fast, require reading patterns quickly, and punish mistakes hard. Hades is the game that made roguelites feel fully realized. Zagreus, son of Hades, is trying to escape the underworld against his father's wishes, fighting through Tartarus, Asphodel, Elysium, and the Temple of Styx to reach the surface. You pick a weapon at the start of each run: sword, spear, shield, bow, fists, or rail, and collect boons from Olympian gods that fundamentally change how your attacks work. Building a run around specific synergies, discovering what combinations break the game in satisfying ways, and adapting when gods don't offer what you expected is the whole skill. Between runs at the House of Hades, dozens of characters have persistent dialogue that advances based on what you've done and how many attempts you've made. No conversation repeats, the writing stays sharp across hundreds of interactions, and relationships develop in ways you earn through play.
You want to die again?
Metroid Prime from 2002 was already one of the greatest games ever made. The remastered version brings it to Switch looking better than most modern releases. You're Samus Aran on the planet Talon 4 in first person, investigating an abandoned space pirate research facility and uncovering what they were doing with a mutagenic substance called Phazon. The scan visor is what makes this game distinct from any other first-person game. You can scan enemies, architecture, flora, lore, terminals, and equipment to build a picture of the world's history. Paying attention is rewarded with a story told entirely through environmental detail and collected data entries. The Morph Ball shifts the feel completely, rolling through tunnels, planting bombs, using boost to access secret routes, bouncing across areas too tight for Samus upright. Suit upgrades expand where you can go and how you survive.
See the world through Samus's eyes and
Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of the most replayable and story-heavy RPGs on Switch. You play as Byleth, a professor at Garreg Monastery, where 3 student houses, the Black Eagles, Blue Lions, and Golden Deer, train for war. Choosing one house changes the entire story and shapes the characters you fight beside. The first half focuses on academy life, teaching students, building relationships, exploring the monastery, sharing meals, and training units for battle. Later, the story jumps 5 years into a brutal war across the continent, and seeing former classmates changed by conflict gives the game real emotional weight. Combat uses classic grid-based strategy with battalions, gambits, class progression, and deep customization that rewards experimenting with different builds. 4 major story routes each reveal different perspectives, secrets, and endings, making every playthrough feel meaningful and worth revisiting.
Each battle a chance to grow.
Super Mario Odyssey is one of the most creative and fun games on Nintendo Switch. Mario travels across huge kingdoms, chasing Bowser after he kidnaps Peach for a strange wedding plan. But the real star of the adventure is Cappy, a living hat that completely changes gameplay. By throwing Cappy, Mario can take control of enemies and objects, letting players become everything from Goombas and Bullet Bills to giant dinosaurs, each with their own movement and abilities. Every kingdom is designed around these transformations, giving each area its own personality and gameplay ideas. Movement feels incredible thanks to long jumps, dives, wall jumps, rolls, and advanced techniques that make exploration constantly satisfying. Instead of stars, the game uses power moons hidden everywhere through puzzles, platforming challenges, secrets, and exploration. Even after the main story ends, new content and tougher challenges keep the adventure going for completionists. "20 games that make the Switch worth owning in 2026. Whether you grab one or all of them, you're not wasting your time. Drop your personal top 5 in the comments. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. See you in the next one.